Vowing for complete regime change, Hungarian Prime Minister-elect Peter Magyar outlined priorities including EU funds, the Eurozone, Ukraine, Russia and migration.
International oil prices surged on Monday after the peace talks between the United States and Iran failed over the weekend in Pakistan.
Germany plans to reduce the energy tax on diesel and petrol in a response to surging fuel prices related to the Iran war.
In a 3-hour speech on Monday, Hungarian Prime Minister-elect Peter Magyar has called for the swift formation of a new government, aiming for a formal handover of power on May 5th. Following his landslide victory on Sunday, Magyar outlined his administration's immediate priorities, which center on restoring democratic institutions and securing 17 billion euros in frozen European Union funds.
Átérezték a súlyát. Mindent el fogunk követni, hogy ez valóban egy új korszak legyen, hiszen a magyar emberek nem egy egyszerű kormányváltásra szavaztak, hanem egy teljes rendszerváltásra.
Addressing the conflict in Ukraine, Magyar confirmed he will not block a 90 billion euro EU loan for Kiev, though he insisted Hungary will not contribute to the fund. He also reiterated his position to the fast-tracked EU accession of a country at war. On energy policy, the incoming leader adopted a pragmatic tone. While aiming to end dependence on Russian energy by 2035, he stated that Budapest will continue to purchase Russian oil in the short term to ensure economic competitiveness. Magyar also intends to keep the southern border fence and remains opposed to the EU Migration Pact. However, he expressed a desire to resolve the €1 million daily fines imposed by the European Court of Justice for non-compliance with asylum laws. The Tisza party leader also confirmed his intention to bring Hungary into the Eurozone, signaling a significant shift toward deeper European integration after years of isolation.
President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, says she wants to make swift and overdue progress in restoring ties between Brussels and Budapest. Her comments came a day after Peter Magyar secured a victory in the Hungarian election and put an end to Viktor Orbán's 16 years of uninterrupted power. Magyar and his Tisza party are set to win a supermajority, which he would need to undo the far-reaching reforms enacted by Viktor Orbán in his self-styled project of illiberal democracy.
The people of Hungary have spoken and they have reclaimed their European path. It is a victory for fundamental freedoms. So with this result, our union is stronger, our union is more united. It was an exceptional evening yesterday. Of course, we will start working with the government as soon as possible.
Contacts between Brussels and Budapest are expected to begin immediately once Magyar formally takes office around mid-May. The European Commission is currently withholding roughly 17 billion euros in cohesion and COVID recovery funds due to an array of legal challenges with Budapest on the rule of law, judicial independence, academic freedom, asylum law, and LGBTQ+ rights. Separately, Budapest is waiting for the Commission's green light for its 16 billion euros defense plan under SAFE, a loan-backed program. For Magyar, the release of EU money is a top priority. The incoming Prime Minister believes the supermajority will help him pass the reforms needed and meet the criteria that the Commission has established as a precondition for unfreezing.
The victory of Peter Magyar and his Tisza party is a very important moment for the EU and a historic moment for Hungary, former European Council President Charles Michel said on Monday.
That's an important step for more European unity, and I hope that it will allow the European Union to be more integrated, to be more ambitious, and finally to make the decisions to make this European sovereignty not a slogan, but to make it a reality.
As a first move, the Hungarian politician said on Sunday that Hungary will join the European Public Prosecutor's Office, the body which investigates transnational and complex financial crimes. Magyar's priority is to tackle the necessary reforms to unblock the 17 billion euros frozen by the European Commission due to concerns regarding the rule of law in the country ruled until now by Viktor Orbán.
Now we have to see how the new government in Hungary will manage and will put in place reforms that are needed, will give the signals that what they have announced before the elections will become a reality in the country, which will allow, I suppose, the European institutions to make decisions in favor of unleashing the financing for Hungary.
Ukraine is also expected to benefit from Orban's defeat after 16 years in power, as the outgoing prime minister was known for blocking a 90 billion euros loan to Kyiv. International oil prices surged on Monday after the peace talks between the United States and Iran failed over the weekend in Pakistan, and as the US military has announced a blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. Brent crude and the West Texas Intermediate delivery once again surpassed $100 per barrel. The US military said the blockade covering all Iranian ports would begin Monday at 5:30 p.m. local time in Iran. Oil prices have been fluctuating as shipping through the strait has almost stalled since last February. Brent crude has risen from around $70 a barrel before the war to more than $119 at times. Meanwhile, Hungary's forint surged against the euro and the Budapest stock index jumped 3% on Monday after the victory of Peter Magyar against Viktor Orbán in the Hungarian election.
Germany plans to reduce the energy tax on diesel and petrol by around 17 cents per liter for 2 months. The decision comes in response to high fuel prices related to the Iran war.
Wir haben eine Entlastung für die Bürgerinnen und Bürger angesichts der steigenden Spritpreise beschlossen. Wir werden die Energiesteuer, damit werden wir sehr schnell die Lage für die Autofahrer und für die Betriebe im Land verbessern.
The high fuel prices are driven by the disruption to oil shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, through which around a fifth of global oil transports pass. Merz said the government had also agreed to allow a one-off €1,000 relief bonus for workers, which is exempt from social security contributions and taxes.
Russia's participation in the 2026 edition of the Venice Biennale continues to cause friction between Italian institutions and Brussels, with deep disagreements within Giorgia Meloni's government. Italian media have reported that in response to the planned reopening of the Russian pavilion at the event, the European Commission has initiated a procedure to freeze or revoke funding to the Biennale. A group of MEPs had earlier called on the European Commission to take urgent measures against the reopening of the Russian pavilion, which has been closed since the invasion of Ukraine in 2022. The Commission strongly condemned the decision of the Biennale management in a note published last month. The Commission has given 30 days to clarify its position. In the absence of a turnaround, the Biennale risks losing a grant of €2 million allocated until 2028. Russian participation in the 61st International Art Exhibition, which is scheduled to open on May the 9th, is considered a violation of sanctions linked to the invasion of Ukraine. The Kiev government and 22 other EU countries have already protested against the reopening.
C'est un tableau qui est peint alors qu'il est sur un petit bateau. Il se fait construire un bateau-atelier, il se met sur ce bateau-atelier, il sillonne la Seine et il peint sur son bateau. C'est pour ça qu'on a dans les îlots de Port-Villers un aspect très immersif. On est vraiment au niveau de l'eau. Donc c'est un tableau qui est peint avec une touche très large, très spontanée, ce qui est très caractéristique des débuts de l'impressionnisme. c'est très caractéristique de l'art de Monet, qui aimait beaucoup en fait le système des séries. On l'a vu avec les nymphéas, les cathédrales de Rouen, les meules. Il se met exactement au même endroit et il va peindre le même sujet, mais sous une atmosphère différente, à un horaire différent. Ici, on a une vue peinte le matin. Donc on a une lumière très spécifique avec des tonalités dans l'eau absolument magnifiques, faites de mauve, de rose.
Britney Spears has entered the substance abuse treatment facility just over a month after being arrested on suspicion of driving under influence of alcohol and drugs. A representative for the 44-year-old superstar confirmed she voluntarily checked herself into the facility. The move follows an incident on the 5th of March when California Highway Patrol officers stopped Spears for driving fast and erratically on Highway 101 near the Los Angeles County line. She was briefly detained in a county jail before her release. At the time, her representative described the singer's action as completely inexcusable, stating the arrest would ideally serve as the first step toward a long overdue change in her life. Spears has largely stepped away from the music industry in recent years, having not toured since 2018 or released an album in nearly a decade. The Ventura County District Attorney's Office is currently reviewing the case and is expected to decide on formal charges before a scheduled court appearance in May.